has always been my hero. When we were younger, we were out in the field in front of the house playing, and our two big dogs got loose, and they ran, and they wrapped the chain around my legs and dragged me across the road, and a car was coming, and Chrissy didn't even hesitate and jumped in front of me, in front of a car, and was raising her arms and stopped the car, and she didn't even hesitate. She could have been hit, and she could have been injured or killed. Instead of letting me get run over by the car, she stopped it. She became my hero that day, and she's always been my hero. And so if you've ever wondered when she started having that compassionate heart, and when she started fighting for the underdog, she's always had that in her. And Chrissy, you're my hero. You always have been. I love you.
Long time ago, in a time very far away, my family had rented a 40-acre pasture at which we kept about a dozen horses. Most of us had our own horse, and mine was called Tonka, it was a mare, and Chrissy's was an Appalachian gelding called Lightning. We also had a number of ponies as well. Among them was a little painted mare called Patches, and a little white stallion named Prince. I believe that to be around the 1974 time frame. I don't remember whose big idea it was, but somehow it was decided Chrissy and I would take the two ponies for a ride, spend the night out in the open, and wait for Dad to come out in the morning so we could begin work on the fence, but that is what we did. I know what I would say today if someone wanted me to sleep out in the middle of a horse pasture and just throw a blanket over a patch of pucker brush using a saddle rather than a my pillow to rest my head. I love that my pillow. So we started out with me riding Patches and Chrissy on Prince, doing a leisurely pace of 1 to 1/2 granny knots. Now, granny knot is a nautical unit of measurement for a speed that did not come from any international standard measurement, but rather from a bunch of friends floating down a river on inner tubes at an excruciatingly slow pace. Someone exclaimed that a granny using a walker would be faster than us, and the granny knot was born. The standard nautical 1 knot equals 1.2 mph over land, and 1 granny knot equals the time interval it takes a granny using a walker to go 100 feet. Yes, there was alcohol involved. It should be noted that no grannies were harmed in the recording of this story. As we finished up the ride and were returning to the property, the only two human beings out there were totally unaware of the secret known by all the horses in the pasture that day. That secret, much to my chagrin, was that Patches was in season. I don't know if the horses had arranged it before the ride or if it was some silent signal, but suddenly Prince swooped in behind us and in a flash was up and began his amorous encounter with Patches, with me pinned in between them. As can be imagined, I was bent right over between them with the horn of the saddle causing a depression in my chest. Being bent over like that makes you rather exposed on the back end, and I thought I really hope he does not decide to make me his love interest, which thankfully he did not. He was digging his hooves in to my legs, which made it obvious that he was not planning on any coitus interruptus in the near future. Above the sound of his hard breathing in my ear and my yelling at her to get him off of me, I could hear Chrissy, who was still in the saddle on top of it all, saying, "This is fun." That, of course, depends on your frame of reference. To her, it was like a 50-cent amusement park ride, while I had an entirely different perspective on the matter. I can't remember if I wiggled out of the horsery menage a trois or if I had to wait to be able to breathe with the full movement of my chest until after Prince called it quits. But I quickly realized that I hate horses. Happy birthday.
Susie, can you please tell me about my Aunt Chrissy and how she was in high school?
I would love to. If I had to describe two words, if I had to use two words to describe my sister Chrissy in high school, it would be grit and grace. She went through some heck of heartbreaking trials and tribulations with her friends. And instead of lashing out and trying to get back at them, she just internalized that hurt and showed them grace. I've learned so much over the years from her about the way that she just has this gentle, quiet attitude. And it's motivating. It's truly motivating. When she was in high school, she had so many people that loved and adored her. And I don't know if she even realized that, because she had so many hard times. I think it was hard for her to understand or realize the people that looked up to her, me being one of them, and so many other people within that school. I was always compared to her. And when we were younger, it was kind of a hard pill to swallow. But as we got older, I totally and completely understand why. She was one of a kind. She was kind to everybody. There was not one type of person that she was not kind to. She would give people food if she thought they were hungry. She would take them home if they needed a ride. She would give them a hug if they were having a hard day. She had kind words for everybody in her entire life. School was relatively easy for her, which made me very jealous. But I will tell you that I was so honored and lucky now, I can look back at it, to have somebody that was just magic. My whole childhood was magic because of her, whether it was her puppets that she created from paper towel rolls at the beginning, to waking up to pink milk on Valentine's Day or green mashed potatoes on St. Patrick's Day. She was just full of fire. She was full of sparkle. And if you knew her, you loved her.
Hi. My two favorite memories of Mom are when she won Miss Michigan when I was a kid. That was a pretty awesome memory. Also, when she got her PhD recently and I helped her transcribing her stuff. Yeah. And also, look at this statue. Wow. Silly statue. And also, this couch. I love you, Mom.
Hello there, and good evening. Today we're going to talk about something or someone who was an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is someone who manages to make something special. A good entrepreneur is someone that makes something special that helps people. I have a tale to tell about someone who was a great entrepreneur. The story begins nearly 3 decades ago. There was a farm on the outside of a tiny village in rural Michigan. A large house with a big red barn was centered on top of the property. Just down the way, a crystal clear brook ran out of the small pond with the weeping willow tree hanging over it. Here, the majestic blue heron ruled the surface, while the lumbering catfish patrolled the muddy banks. A weeping willow hung low over the pond, offering shade when the sun decided the world needed a bit of extra warmth. Here is where Christine Marie found her inspiration. Christine Marie was a bright young woman with 4 bright young children. She valued good manners, hard work, and most of all, education. Education should not just be memorization and testing, she surmised. But how can we make schooling and education meaningful? Well, Christine was creative, and creativity is what she did best. She weaved incredible tales, illustrated simply and clearly. She wrote books, and more books. She also performed as an entertainer, capturing the imaginations of the youth with shows of magic and wonder. Some say she was able to throw her voice all the way across the school's gymnasium when she performed as a ventriloquist. Truth be told, I've seen it firsthand. Soon children everywhere could not get enough. Learning was never so simple and fun. Christine followed her passion for 5 successful years. She helped families pursue their dreams and ambitions. Christine showed people the value of social entrepreneurship. But her journey did not end here. In fact, this was only the beginning of the exciting life of Christine Moore.
Lola had this amazing idea about making a video for my wife's birthday, and I have so many amazing stories. It probably will take like 24 hours to tell the story. They say true love stories don't have endings, and yes, it's true. I love her so much. I was doing visual graphics for a TV station in California, and my friend calls me up, the owner of the station. He's like, "Hey Tolga, we're doing a show, it's called Gingerbread House. You have to meet this puppet lady. She's absolutely amazing." I'm like, I don't want to meet a puppet lady. Especially, I don't want to meet a 90-year-old puppet lady. Anyway, at the time I was doing all explosions and all kinds of different visual effects. About a week later, I take the meeting, I open the door, and there's this beautiful woman and her puppet. She's like, "I'm Mrs. Gingerbread." I go, "You're Mrs. Gingerbread, okay." So she comes in, very smart. She's got her puppet. She has an investment banker with her, and she had this amazing business plan for Gingerbread House. I mean, it was unbelievable. This was like MySpace before MySpace. She had the whole business plan done. I was like, "Who wrote all this stuff?" She's like, "I did."
Here's your story, let's begin. The water's fine, come on, dive in. The future's here, it's right before your eyes. Step by step, you're on your way. Welcome to a brighter day. Don't you know it feels good to be alive? You could be larger than life, bigger than the world, living out the hopes and dreams of every boy and every girl. You could fly higher than the sky, shine brighter than the stars. You could have all you ever wanted, shoot the moon and reach for Mars. You know you could.
I couldn't believe it. I mean, she was so smart and so beautiful. Early on when I met her, she was teaching kindergarten, like to inner city kids, just very poor families. Her school, they almost had like no money, so they kept bouncing her checks, and she would not stop teaching these children. Normally people would leave, say, "Well, you're not paying me, I'm out of here." But she continued to teach those children.
Mommy, where did I come from? Well, you came out of the oven just like every other gingerbread cookie. And I'm bigger and stronger than her though, huh? I'm not that little. And I got more honey in me. Goober, Gumdrop, be sweet to each other. That's very important. I'm spicier and I taste really good. Goober, don't. Gross! You're gross.
She sacrificed so much for these children, just teaching them and not getting paid and everything else, and just unbelievable. She truly is one of a kind. I am the luckiest man on earth. I really did marry the most beautiful women and the smartest women. Not many people can do what she has done. Seriously, she's like a hybrid between angel and human. She's the most powerful, most sweet, most caring, most loving individual that I have ever met. And I'm so proud of her, and I'm so proud to call her my wife. I love you, Christine. Happy birthday.
Hi, I'm Paul Fishkin. Glad to be here today. I remember in the late 2000s, the early 2000s, I reconnected with Tolga Katas, who had been a producer and a writer and of the song Sending All My Love by Lanier, which I got involved with back in the 90s to help manage them. I met Tolga. Then we separated, but we reconnected around 2000 again. And by this time, he had determined that the music business was in a lot of trouble and that he was a coder and a developer and felt he came up with solutions to solve some of the music business problems at the time. And he had a girlfriend by the name of Christine Marie. Christine Marie was a force, an absolute force, a social and creative force. I never met anybody like her. So we started this company called Intego, Entertainment to Go, and Tolga had developed this thing called Flixo. And it was amazing. And Christine was running the whole show together with me. A whirling dervish like you never saw. You know, we were cutting edge company, breaking new ground, trying to convince people that the New World Order was coming in terms of technology. Had all these brilliant ideas, and she came up with these amazing marketing plans and ideas, and we were all over the lot, but all good stuff. And, you know, we raised a bunch of money. I was able to do that. We were making some serious inroads into this whole new world of technology and entertainment. And what was most amazing to me was Christine. She knew nothing about the business and was learning as we went. We all were, to some degree. But not only did she have brilliant ideas in every aspect of marketing and a vision for what this company could be together with Tolga, but she was a driver like nobody was. And Tolga was coding, and I was trying to keep the whole thing together. And she was pushing and driving. And then I got to learn this other side of her social consciousness side. And the energy and effort she was putting into helping people. So we were trying to run a business, and at the same time, she was an absolute power in terms of, you know, helping people who, from her community that she grew up in, were disadvantaged. And it never ceased to amaze me how much dedication she put to that while she was still trying to help to run this business and develop it. And it just left an indelible memory. And at that time, and I watched over the years how Christine, the level of her empathy and sympathy and her sensitivity towards the disadvantaged grew and grew and grew, and she was able to be more effective, all the while, in addition, keeping her schooling up and winding up to this day, becoming with a PhD. She never stopped learning, never stopped helping, never stopped sacrificing herself while trying to make a living and maintain her family. An incredible mother in the midst of all this. And there were times when the money was really not there. Other times then there was plenty of money, but there was long periods of time when the money wasn't there, and it was really week to week and month to month. And in the midst of that, I just watched her never cease to try and be of service and be of help. And I just, there's nobody like her. Nobody like her. I've never met anybody with that much intelligence, energy, empathy, sympathy, and determination to help and save lives. And she's doing it and continually doing it while still maintaining and, you know, being able to get a doctorate. So that's some serious business. And I have nothing but respect, admiration, and love. Christine Marie, God bless you. Happy birthday.
When she came as a volunteer after the Short Creek flood in September of 2015, where several people lost their lives. And I had been assigned to make sure that all the volunteers were signed in and accounted for. I remember speculating about her and wondering if she was a celebrity because she only signed in as Christine and she didn't use the last name, and she was so obviously different than everybody else there. I also remember telling one of the ladies that for some reason I felt like I was going to see her again. That was not the last time I was going to see Christine when she left. The next time I saw her was at the eviction of the processing plant on January 4th of 2017. And that was the day I met Tolga. They came with Norma and took pictures and videos of the eviction process. When Christine walked in the processing plant and I saw her, it was like we instantly remembered each other. It was quite an interesting situation for me because I knew I had seen her again, and when I saw her, I instantly remembered saying that I was going to see her again. And I guess she had moved here in July of 2016. But since she has been in our community, she has helped so many people through Voices for Dignity. And, you know, I can honestly say that she's done more for this community than any other person in the last few years. She's brought in thousands of dollars worth of donations and school supplies for our people, our community. And she's the very first one that has ever been able to help FLDS people stay in their homes and not be evicted. I think it was because of Tolga's camera and Christine's ability to talk to people and speak up. In the few years that she's been here, she's stopped many evictions. She's helped us reclaim this store, and we opened it up and are able to sell our homemade items here. And she's also helped us reclaim a school, and she's helped thousands of people in our community, and I'm so thankful for her. I don't have words to express how much gratitude I have for what she has done for this community. I hope that she realizes how much we love and appreciate her.
I met Christine a little less than a year ago. We were at the International Society for Cultic Studies conference in Birmingham, England, and it was brother and sister at first sight. We had a blast there together. We almost saw the Book of Mormon, which would have been so appropriate, but instead they were sold out, and we tried to hustle some tickets and didn't get anywhere with it. And that was just fun because we ended up walking around and talking and going to an outdoor festival. It's hard to remember times like this, but this was back when they allowed crowds. We had a great time, and we've been in touch ever since, and I've come out to visit twice, and she's my soul sister. I know her stories about her past, certainly, because she's told me them. But I'm no expert on her past except for the immediate past this last year. But I am an expert on her future, and I'll tell you why. I'm in touch with God. Yeah, it's true. I'm in touch with God because Christine's a ventriloquist, and when I saw that, I realized that I too could buy a ventriloquist dummy, and so I did. I bought a ventriloquist dummy of God, and he advises me on everything with a voice of great authority and objective omniscience. Not just about the past, which, you know, a historian could have maybe, but no, about the future. He's got objective omniscience about what Christine will be doing for the rest of her life. And so I decided I should consult with him about this, and he's right here. He's right here, ready to give some counsel. Hey, God. Hey, nice to see you, Jeremy. I am so bad at ventriloquy that I am going to turn around to talk to him, okay? So just listen in, okay? So, God, how is it? Fine. Very good. I'm glad to see you, and I'm glad to expound on anything you think you need to know. Well, what we need to know right now is what's going to happen to Christine in the coming years. Well, that's easy. I can tell you what's going to happen to her. Christine is going to spend the next few months exploring, like a kid in a candy shop. That's what she's like. She's got all these possibilities and she's got all these desires. She's made a pinwheel of them. One of the things she'd like to do is bring in some coin. Another thing she'd like to do is promote her optimistic view of life, which includes positive child rearing and a variety of things that have been guides to her life and sometimes even misguides to her life. That is, there were times in her life when she was more optimistic about a situation than probably was warranted. But then she will also be trying to promote practical solutions in this world. And what's going to happen to her ultimately is that she will find that the tension between those positive beliefs in hers, the arguments for optimism, and the practical side of her, the side that wants to be realistic, that wants people to face reality, she is going to realize that she's actually perfectly situated to promote the tension, not the solution. No, the tension. Actually, I think God is emphatic enough about this that I think he wants to gesticulate a little bit. So let me get him going here. I have to take my hand out of God's butt in order to do this. Is it okay if I put my hand up your butt again, God? She really wants to change the world, and she wants to sustain herself like she hasn't before. Master gesticulation. And she will do all sorts of things. Life is what happens while you're busy making other plans. So she'll continue her work promoting a more accurate understanding of what's going on with the FLDS. She'll continue to find outlets for her work in media psychology. And she'll continue to sustain her work for the community and for her family. She is such a nurturing person. So all of that will continue. But in the meantime, she will be yearning for something solid, something, you could say, a signature caper for herself. And she will find it. She will find it. Because it turns out that she is perfectly positioned to tell a vivid narrative about the promise and peril of optimism, and the promise and peril of, you could say, pessimism or cynicism. She knows better than anybody else I know, and I know everybody because I'm God. She knows better than everybody what it's like to live with that tension and how you can fall off the deep end on both sides of it. Her main point will be that you don't want to be an optimist or a pessimist. You want to be a realist, and to be a realist, you don't want to be a pessimist. Pessimist, huh? What's a pessimist? A pessimist is someone who rolls up in a ball to ignore the things that are not comfortable to think about, that are exhausting to think about, the ways that something could work better than you would like to think they do, or the ways that something could work worse than you like to think they do. That's interesting, God. I think that makes some sense. But I don't really believe you unless you're gesticulating. Oh, okay. I'm telling you, she's in a perfect position to lead the world on focusing on the tension between the dangers of too happy and too dire a story of what's going on. Now I believe you. Anyway, happy birthday, Christine. I've been 60. That's an old age to me. By me, what I mean is it's a old age in the sense that that's an old story. That as I was 60 a while ago, it's not an old age, I hope, because I'm 63 going on 64. But I wanted to say, come on in, the water's fine. It's fine being 60. It's breathtaking in a way, just like coronavirus is breathtaking. In both cases, it can be a bracing, quickening, awakening to what this is, this life of ours. What it's like, what the challenge. Are you going to let me talk? If you're going to start pontificating, Jeremy, I think it's high time you let me do the talking. No, what I mean to say is, it's great growing old. Dying is a beautiful way to live as long as it doesn't kill you. Happy birthday, Christine.
Happy birthday, Chrissy. I wanted to tell you that this book that you had written for us, The Bessemer Family, is one of our prized possessions. That was the first book you had written, I think, for us. So I just wanted to share that with you as a good memory. So happy birthday, babe, and I love you to pieces. Have a good day.
There once was a magical woman named Christine. Her passions were puppets and pink and helping people, and help people she did. Christine went through many tribulations in the first half of her life. She slayed many dragons and defeated evil men who tried to steal her money and her soul. She struggled, but she did not let those experiences harden her. She did not let them make her bitter. No, Christine decided to weave them into gold. She began to learn. She learned and learned and learned, studying and writing and turning her hardship into knowledge. She earned herself a PhD just in time for her 60th birthday. She emerged with much to teach the world, and teach the world she shall. Her story is only beginning.